I'd like to welcome you to the regular meeting of the Chandler Unified School District Governing Board. Today is September 22nd, 2021. We had a very great study session concerning some of our test scores and our metrics for this year. So if you weren't able to be here for that, the study session was recorded and it will be online. Mrs. Nye, could you start with our roll call, please? Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Joel Worth.
Here. Here.
Great. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We're going to start off with some routine business. Our first is to approve the minutes of the September 8th regular board meeting. Could I get a motion, please?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 8th, 2021 regular board meeting as presented.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes of the September 8th board meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Our next item is to approve and ratify the payroll and accounts payable vouchers. Could I please get a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve and ratify payroll and account payable vouchers.
Second.
All those in favor of approving and ratifying payroll and accounts payable vouchers, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Mr. Narducci, is there any correspondence for us this evening?
Madam President, there's no correspondence this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. This evening we have Nathan Lamb from Perry High School to give us a student body president's report from Perry High. Nathan? We're ready for Nathan.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Nathan Lamb, and I'm the student body president at Perry High School. I'm extremely grateful and honored to be able to speak to Superintendent Narducci, Madam President, the governing board, as well as the entire school district. Over the past quarter, many events and activities have occurred on our campus, and I would love to share with you tonight. Our council kicked off the school year with our annual Welcome Back Paws, where we gave a warm welcome or welcome back to our Perry students with over 3,000 personalized yellow paws taped in the cafeteria with their names on them to celebrate a new school year. In addition to this, Link Crew hosted their annual freshman orientation, where upperclassmen gave them a taste of the spirit and energy we embody at Perry through group campus tours followed by icebreaker games and bonding, of course, in costumes. To follow this up, this past month, they hosted their freshman freeze-out, where freshmen enjoyed some cold treats at the end of their week and reconnected with their upperclassmen group leaders. Last month, Stugo also hosted a canned food drive for the Chandler Care Center, where we gathered over 25 boxes worth of canned food, toiletries, and supplies to give back to the community and shelf goods for the city. As for events for our student body, we also hosted Glow Zone, our glow-themed welcome back dance. The photo booth, hype music, and our enthusiastic student body all dressed and ready to lose their voices set a precedent for our future August dances. In club news, Perry Leo Club recently spread awareness to the student body on the importance of mental health. Over the past 2 weeks, colorful butterflies with positive messages have been taped up around campus to remind the student body and admin of their importance and impact they have on others and the beauty and positive light they add to the world. Perry DECA has been helping to mentor other chapters around the valley in order to help them engage in more networking and communication. And most recently, Perry DECA went to Topgolf to help Queen Creek and their new DECA officer team have a successful school year. Additionally, PHS DECA will bring guest speakers Ryan Zolan and Amber Adams, both of which are Perry alumni, to talk to the students about success after high school and their own experience in successes in sales and real estate. The Perry Precedent Student Newspaper recently took home second place for general excellence at the postponed 2020-21 Arizona Interscholastic Press Association Awards last month. This marks the 7th time the publication has finished in the top 3 in the state. We're very proud of the diligent editors and writers that take the time to spread awareness of the events on campus in such a thorough, insightful, and intriguing manner. It is evident that our clubs couldn't wait to return from summer break and create change for the betterment of both our school and community society. In athletic news, Perry's badminton team is currently undefeated in the regular season play with an astounding 8-0 record, 6 of them 9-0 wins against schools in the Valley. Additionally, Perry senior Nikita Jairaj was named to the all-tournament team at the Flying Feathers tournament, where the Pumas advanced all the way to the semifinals. The team is also looking forward to soon competing in the Chaparral Firebird Invitational. The Perry girls cross-country team recently won the varsity blue section at Woodbridge in California. Taylor Lovell won the race and Alex Pagel was runner-up for the Pumas. Perry's football team is currently 2-1 in the regular season play after a recent win against Mountain Point High School and will be playing against Queen Creek High School this Friday. The Perry girls golf team recently received a brand new girls coach, Melena Bernier, who is a Perry High School graduate, and the boys golf team will be hosting a brand new invitational at Encanterra Golf Course this weekend. Our girls dive team recently competed at the Brophy Xavier Invite, and senior Amaya Wiley was a meet runner-up and Alexia Jackson the third place recipient. In boys swim and dive, Evan Nail set 2 meet and school records at the recent Cross White Swim Invite, 1 minute and 51.76 seconds for the 200 individual medley and 50.22 seconds for the 100-meter backstroke. Our unified sports football team is doing amazing with their current 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 tie. Perry girls volleyball team is currently undefeated in regular season play. Layla Hanley was named to the all-tournament team at the Westward Tournament of Champions, where the Pumas made it to the semifinals. And lastly in sports, CJ Snowden was awarded the Phoenix Chapter Scholar Athlete of the Year, and our athletic director, Mrs. Burks, was recently named the 6A Athletic Director of the Year. We're extremely proud of the dedication our student athletes have to refining their practice, and our student body is excited to support our fall sport teams in the rest of their seasons. Aside from all of the amazing activities, awards, and events that have already occurred, our council and school clubs are getting ready to host some amazing events that are quickly approaching. Stugo is working diligently to get ready for Midnight Manor, our dark Victorian-era themed homecoming dance taking place on Saturday, October 23rd. During the homecoming week, Perry's NHS will also be hosting their annual Emory Bear Drive, where bears are collected from the student body in classrooms, as well as at the Bear Toss at our homecoming game to donate via Team Emory to a local children's hospital. Along with this, we are excited to have our returning in-person assemblies, Spear Week, parade, hallway decorations, and royalty. I would also like to extend an invitation to all of you to attend our homecoming carnival on Wednesday, October 13th from 4 to 7 p.m., where clubs will be holding booths with games, inflatables, food trucks, and more, and also where talent in the community will be highlighted through performances from Perry students and dance teams, as well as from schools around the district. Carnival is one of the biggest celebrations Stuga hosts, not solely for the school, but also for the district and community, and I would love to have Superintendent Narducci, Madam President, and the governing board experience the culmination of talent and festivity we host at our carnival. In mentioning Stugo, I would also like to now take the opportunity to introduce the Perry student government for this school year. I've had the pleasure of getting to know this group of highly talented individuals over the past quarter, and I'm excited to see what is in store in the future. I would also like to give the board members some Perry Stugo merch when they're walking out. So starting with our student body officers, we have Student Body Vice President Taryn Bashford, Student Body Secretary Clara Harris, Student Body Treasurer Sammy Cristerna, Student Body Spirit Coordinator Abby Carraro, Student Body Publicity Manager Selena Fa, Student Body Historian Brooke Lassen, and Student Body Parliamentarian Elizabeth Perkins. Senior Class President Ashley Day, Senior Class Vice President Paige Kopaka, Junior Class President Ellie Boyd, Junior Class Vice President Madeline Balberin, Junior Class Historian Madeline Monker, Sophomore Class President Austin Klaus, Sophomore Class Vice President Sam Spencer, Sophomore Class Secretary Nadia Shovkovi, Sophomore Class Treasurer Daniel Johnson, Sophomore Class Spirit Coordinator Emily Hastings, Sophomore Class Publicity Manager Allison Rose, Sophomore Class Rep Caden Beeman, Freshman Class President Tommy Spencer, Freshman Class Vice President Yumi Chan, Freshman Class Secretary Julia Fountain, Freshman Class Treasurer Ria Sadapa, Freshman Class Spirit Coordinator Sonia Clavel, Freshman Class Publicity Manager Tanner Ross, Freshman Class Historian Isabella Diaz, Freshman Class Rep Elizabeth Bauk, and Freshman Class Representative Grant Stieber. And of course, our Stugo Advisor, Mrs. Lorena Johnson. Again, I'm deeply honored, humbled, and thankful to work with such a highly talented, hardworking, and passionate council that has a true will to make change on and off campus in our community. And I'm looking forward to planning events for the betterment of our student body and ensuring that our teaming love for helping others is fully fruitful. Once again, I'm grateful for the grand opportunity of sharing the impactful events and accomplishments at Perry High this past quarter. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Nathan, and great to meet all of you from Perry, and I know that you are really going to do great things at Perry and your student council this year. It looks like you guys have a lot of enthusiasm. I can see it in your eyes. So thank you so much, and I appreciate the update on what's going on at Perry, and we will see Nathan back next quarter. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good night. Tonight we have a Hispanic Heritage Month presentation, and that will be started by Dr. Adama Salou.
Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Naducci, members of the cabinet, it is my honor to introduce my colleague, Mr. Tony Akala, principal at Galveston Elementary School, one of CUSD best in our district. And he this evening is going to do the proclamation as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15, 2021 through October 15, 2021. Again, Mr. Antonio Akala.
Madam President, members of the board, a proclamation of the Chandler Unified School District of the City of Chandler, Arizona, proclaiming the month of September 15th through October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas Hispanic heritage is a significant part of American history and should be studied throughout the year, since 1988 in the United States of America, September 15th through October 15th has been designated as the month for recognizing and celebrating the contributions and influence of those with Hispanic heritage. Whereas the Chandler Unified School District can count among its past and present members many Hispanic American leaders, administrators, educators, and student pioneers with city, state, and national historical prominence. Whereas the vision of the Chandler Unified School District is an environment where our diverse population is a strength, and a spirit of equity, collaboration, and response permeates our community. Now, therefore, I, Tony Alcala, principal of Galveston Elementary School in the Chandler Unified School District, do hereby proclaim the month of September 15th through October 15th, 2021 as Hispanic Heritage Month, and urge all Chandler and Arizona residents to celebrate the rich history, culture, and contributions of those of Hispanic descent. Ahora, yo, Tony Alcalá, director del Distrito Escolar Unificado de Chandler, proclamo el mes del 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre del 2021 como el mes de la herencia hispana, y les invito a todos los residentes de Chandler y Arizona a celebrar la rica historia, cultura, logros y contribuciones de las personas de ascendencia hispana. I would like to personally thank Mayor Kevin Harkey, City Manager Josh Wright, and the amazing Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Division at the City of Chandler for partnering with our community, specifically Galveston neighborhood, to create events that celebrate culture and success. I invite staff to check out the latest staff report sent out by Terry Locke, or visit the City of Chandler website for more information on super fun Hispanic heritage events happening this month. Very exciting. And finally, let us reflect and recognize one more time the strong Hispanic heritage present within our amazing CUSD schools. Schools we build, clean, and landscape, where we teach, love, serve, and lead. And we do it with our hearts and our unbreakable spirits, even through tough times. Long live Chandler Unified. Que viva Chandler Unified. Thank you, and go Lions.
Thank you so much. Do our board members have any comments?
Thank you. I definitely want to get more information on what the city of Chandler is doing. I know they had the celebration that started off this weekend, so I will be checking that out.
Thank you. Our next item is a resolution calling for the naming of the Arizona College Prep Stadium. Mr. Narducci, are you reading our
I am, Madam President. It's so wonderful having Dr. Dupree here and his wonderful wife, Susie, both doctors, and both had a very impactful piece on the landscape. Susie, not only here, I'm going to talk about your wife for a little while, Fred. We'll talk about you in a second. Not only here in Chandler, where she got her start and led here, but also in Mesa Unified, where she continued that into the associate superintendent role as well. So a dynamic family here that we're celebrating tonight. But we're going to talk mostly about Fred. I had the opportunity in 1996 to come up from Tucson to be hired to open Conley. The same year, Dr. Dupree was actually given the year to plan our second high school, which was an enormous event. And I got to have a lot of conversations with him that year. And he was hospital he was officed at the hospital building. It was called the Morrison Building, right next door to our food services department. And we would be able to chat over there. And I got to hear a lot of the dynamic planning that he was doing, not only for Hamilton, but I think when I read this resolution, you're going to see that the visionary aspects of Dr. Dupree he doesn't let things rest. He ran a great school, but he also was a visionary in setting the bar pretty high and in also creating opportunities for students, even off his campus. So with that, I'm very proud to be reading this resolution for you this evening. The Chandler Unified School District Governing Board and District Administration take pride in offering school choice for all families to ensure every child can attend schools that best meet their needs. In the fall of 2006, former Hamilton High School principal Dr. Fred Dupree was looking for ways to provide families with an alternative to the large high school campus. His idea was to create a school within a school at Hamilton High School. In collaboration with district administration, Hamilton Prep was the culmination of Dr. Dupree's initial vision. In 2007, Hamilton Prep opened with 80 7th and 8th grade students using space leased from Chandler Christian Church, which is currently Compass Church, with the intent of adding a grade each year until the campus enrolled students in grades 7 through 12. As demand for Hamilton Prep grew, and the leased facilities could no longer accommodate the growing numbers, CUSD looked for alternative sites for the school. In the spring of 2010, a committee of parents and teachers selected and the governing board approved Erie Elementary School to be repurposed and remodeled to accommodate the growth of Hamilton Prep. At the start of the 2012 school year, Hamilton Prep students and staff moved into the new site, enrolling students in grades 7 through 12, changing the name to Arizona College Preparatory Erie Campus. When the school opened, there were 359 students enrolled. Over the years, ACP has been recognized repeatedly on state and national levels, earning its reputation as a premier high school. The school was named an Arizona Education Foundation A+ School of Excellence, a U.S. News and World Report Best High School, the top public high school in the greater Phoenix area by niche, and was awarded the 2019 Blue Ribbon Award by the U.S. Department of Education. ACP graduates have been equally impressive, receiving many individual honors and accolades, including prestigious scholarships from Flynn, National Merit, Coca-Cola, and millions of dollars in both academic and athletic awards. The dedicated efforts of ACP's staff and high-profile student achievements have generated interest, leading more families to enroll. ACP satisfies the choice of a smaller high school environment, also providing the comprehensive programming, athletics, and extracurricular activities normally associated with larger schools. In October of 2020, Chandler's governing board unanimously voted to move ACP area campus to the new high school site located at 4477 South Gilbert Road. It is on this campus that ACP high school students and staff will continue the legacy of striving for the impossible and being extraordinary, while helping all within the school community excel. What started as a dream in Dr. Dupree's office 15 years ago has successfully become a reality. It is only fitting that the Arizona College Prep High School Stadium be named in honor of Dr. Fred Dupree, as presented on September 22nd, 2021 by Interim Superintendent Franklin R. Narducci. Along with Dr. Dupree, this couldn't be done with our current principal of ACP, who was along for the whole ride and the whole journey throughout the whole time, Mr. Rob Bickus, who is here this evening as well, and carried out the plan and is still doing a wonderful job there today. So I present this resolution to the governing board.
Thank you, Mr. Narducci. Could I please get a motion to approve the resolution calling for the naming of the Arizona College Prep Stadium in honor of Dr. Dupree?
I am honored to make this motion because Dr. Dupree was my principal. So I make the motion to name the Arizona College Prep Stadium in honor of Dr. Fred Dupree.
Second.
Is there any discussion from the board or questions? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Congratulations. Dr. Dupree, would you like to go to the podium and say a few words?
I really want to thank you so much. This is a tremendous recognition, and this is completely unexpected. In fact, Camille called me about this a couple months ago, and I thought, I've been retired 6 years. How could I still be in trouble? It just caught me completely off guard. And I think Dr. Gilbert and I had gone to Harvard for summer school, and I kind of got this idea, and I had the brains to ask Mr. Bickus to help me with it. And Mrs. Eisinger, who was in charge of curriculum back then, and Dr. Castillo helped me get it started. And it's just been a tremendous thing for the community. My grandson went there for a couple of years of school. So in my own family, we've benefited from this. So I'm just very grateful to all of you, and thank you, Lindsay, for seconding that. It's just, at my age, it's a great thing, you know, these people like Lindsay who went through the school, or a Rob or a Craig, they were just getting their start. Leo was in a class I taught way back when, and to see everybody growing and taking over and moving the district forward, it's just great to be part of this and to be recognized this way, and I thank you very much.
Mr. Bickus, I assume that now he gets a lifetime pass to come visit, to come see the football games at ACP?
Mr. Backus, there's going to be a little celebration at one of the games coming up here. Is that correct?
22nd.
October 22nd. At the October 22nd football game, where that'll be unveiled at the field. Beautiful field. Yeah. Yeah. And Mr. Backus, thank you so much for being here tonight. Not only that, but for being out the campus this year, been at your football games. What you're doing there is amazing, the culture you're building, and we can't say thank you enough for the transitions you've made and for being a part of this the whole way. So we do appreciate it, because we know schools run as leaders lead. So we appreciate you very much. Okay.
All right, thank you. We will do one more quick action item to approve the direction given to the board's legal counsel in the executive session held pursuant to 1.01 above. Could I please get a motion for that?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve direction given to the board's legal counsel in the executive session held pursuant to item 1.01 above.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Aye. No. Okay, motion carries. Next, we will go to our citizens' comments, and Mr. Locke, could you please present the online comments for us?
I sure will. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Arducci. We continue to offer the public an opportunity to provide feedback electronically prior to each board meeting. This week, we heard from 13 people, though the number of emails is slightly higher because some of the content fit into multiple categories, and a parent submitted a four-part reply. This week's responses fit into 4 categories. 1 is health and safety, mask and mitigation strategies. 2, curriculum, modes of instruction, including, and number 3, athletics, and number 4, communications. As I mentioned earlier, feedback sometimes falls into multiple areas and will be listed under more than one category from time to time. And that is certainly the case this week. Submitting comments electronically provides our governing board members time to read and prepare prior to the meeting. This format also provides the board an opportunity to ask clarifying questions to the administration. You have the submissions verbatim for your consideration. They're also available on the website for public review.
Thank you, Mr. Locke. We appreciate you getting them posted to the public comment or content portion of this so that we do all have time to review the comments before the meeting. Thank you so much. Tonight we have 12 different comments, so our speakers will be able to speak for 2 minutes. So we will go ahead and start with Caitlin Scanlon. Caitlin, you may have to move that microphone down just a little bit.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Scanlon, and I go to Patterson Elementary. So on September 20th, I got called up to the office saying I was being sent home, but no. When I got to the office, the front desk told me to go to the nurse's office. When I went in, I was asked my name, and the nurse gave me a mask, and I was told to sit down. And I saw other kids from my band class. My parents weren't called for 3 hours. I sat in the nurse's office for 3 hours, worried and scared where my mom was, because she said she will come pick me up every day at 3 o'clock. My mom came in mad that this happened to me and went to my principal's office right away. I was scared because I thought I was in trouble. I was able to return the next day because I already had COVID. The quarantine affects every kid's grade, missing assignments, and mental health. Mind you, this was the last week of the first quarter. Please stop sending healthy kids home. Thank you.
Thank you. I will remind everyone to please not clap and react. I know that she was just an adorable young lady, and but in future ones, so. So, Christine Scanlon.
That's me.
Mom.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Christine Scanlon. I have, in addition to Caitlin, another child who attends Basha High School. I thought I'd be here tonight to discuss something other than COVID and quarantine, but as you heard, that's not the case. Yes, my daughter was removed from class for possible exposure. These days, that's routine. She was masked with approximately 12 other students in the nurse's office when masks are supposed to be optional. She waited for almost 3 hours as I did not receive any phone calls from the school. 3 hours for a 10-year-old, in my opinion, is abusive, especially when you're not told why you are there. I found out only because her attendance on Infinite Campus was updated for the following day, which was Tuesday, as quarantined. So of course, this was 2:50 p.m. and dismissal begins at 3:05. I thought for sure this was a mistake, but of course it wasn't. I thought an additional fact that you need to know is my daughter did test positive earlier, and she was in that 90-day window, but apparently that issue was ignored. My daughter missed an entire afternoon of school for something that could have been resolved in 5 minutes. This is absolutely unacceptable. The principal told me, I'm sorry, and that the health assistant had a few emergencies that afternoon. But that's not good enough. Why was she the only one who making phone calls? Where was the rest of the staff? So I'd like to know from all of you here, who is going to take responsibility for this? Anybody? Anybody willing to take responsibility? How is it that these procedures are not routine after almost 2 years? How long could it possibly take to call a family and say, your child needs to be picked up because of COVID exposure? We can discuss any questions when you arrive. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be accepting any more excuses about quarantine, whether it's from Maricopa County
30
or
seconds.
when the school says, oh, we're just following the rules. How many more years do the kids need to play catch up? We all saw the AZ merit scores. When will the students not have to worry about losing to seat roulette? When will the realization set in that COVID is here to stay? You could quarantine the entire district and COVID will still be here. Wait a minute. We've already done that, and that wasn't the solution. Honestly, I, for one, cannot wait until September 29th. Thank you.
Thank you. Kurt Roars.
My name is Kurt Roars, and I'm a parent in this district. Last meeting, we brought to the board's attention the serious deficiencies in reading and math scores at several elementary schools in the district. This is of utmost importance because without a solid foundation in these skills established early in a child's education, it will not have an equitable chance of succeeding in future learning in the district. The district has 6 elementary schools where 70% or more of the students failed the English test, and 7 schools where 80% or more failed the math test. Almost all of these schools had a majority of Hispanic students. I've begun reaching out to the Hispanic community to understand how we can best address this dire situation. Early response from the community indicate that after-school tutoring and remedial work is essential in helping struggling kids catch up to the grade level expectations. Assigning homework is of dubious effectiveness since parents and caregivers often have their own difficulties with English and cannot realistically help their kids with the assignments. There was also rather harsh criticism that teachers consistently ignore English and math deficiencies and pass kids through the next grade level without sufficiently mastering skills. And it's simply because somebody else's problem the following school year. This is academic fraud. The situation compounds itself year after year until the student reaches high school and is so hopelessly behind that they have little chance of being successful. Many drop out. The district has received substantial funds through the federal ESSER programs and other grants. The funds must be concentrated on remedial
30
teaching
seconds.
and tutoring programs. There can be no other higher priority. Funds from dubiously effective social and emotional learning programs must be redirected to the direct teaching of students to achieve acceptable levels of educational skills. SEL does little to teach kids to read or do math better, simply makes them more comfortable with failure. The district must bring all schools up to at least 50% passing scores in English and mathematics by the end of the year. This would be the hallmark of a truly highly performing.
Time has expired. Thank you. Nicole Eidson.
Okay, let me move this out of my face here. Okay. Yes, hi. My name's Nicole Eidson, and I'm here tonight to talk about the mandatory training that was required by the administration, school counselors, and the psychologists for the school. That was from the Director of Equity and Inclusion. the mandatory training was initially touted as an impact of radicalized trauma on Black students. Just before the training, the day of the training, it was changed from radicalized trauma to racialized trauma. The trainer, who blatantly had some sort of issues, said that the policing policies came from the KKK. That was a direct quote from her as the trainer to this administration, school counselors, and psychologists. She also shared her inability to sleep after 3 weeks of the George Floyd incident, which has absolutely no place in the schools in any sort of training at all. There was absolutely no reason for her to share that information in a training. And the training also was supposed to not be geared towards the Black African American students, but the very first slide that they showed was about macroaggression. And this
30 seconds.
on the macroaggression slide, it had large-scale overt aggression toward people of color, threats of assault or death using racial ethnic epithet, police harassment, body searches, and the killing of Black men, women, and children, color blindness, schools to prison pipeline, and confinement pipeline. Now, I have the slide right here. I'm not making...
Time has expired. Thank you. Phil Campbell.
I have more strong words tonight. They're the product of years of studying the literature of the left with the goal of education with a purpose. Two antithetical worldviews are in mortal combat, and the right side must remain alert and animated. The world is being changed by force. Change is an article of faith in man-centered religions and an ongoing process believed necessary for man's very survival and sanctification. 2 weeks ago, parent comments at Heart summed up how authoritarianism is affecting their families. I spoke about the religious source and nature of why. Failure to grasp the ardent religious nature of the radical left has doomed the right to regular defeat. Only fleeting victories are possible without learning the relentless religious zeal impelling the left toward its goals. The left wants utter destruction of Western civilization because they blame it for injustice, disunity, and poverty, rather than blame the heart of man. Many deny good and evil, yet the West is counted a moral failure, so the left feels morally obligated to destroy that evil in order to build back better. This obligation drives the left to maniacal urgency to save man from man by human power aided by science and technology. Their belief a pall of doom is cast by Western civilization upon our very survival fuels that urgency. The radical left's base of atheist rejection of divine authority forces their
30
acceptance
seconds.
of responsibility for the fate of man.
Thank you. Ann Adams.
Hi, my name is Ann Adams. I have 2 kids. One is being homeschooled right now, and the other one's still at Hamilton. I would like to compliment you for starting to pay attention to us parents and filtering out some of the negative materials and keeping an eye on what's going on in our school, because I do see some people really paying attention to that. So thank you for trying, and hopefully we'll see more of that. I still want to keep a vigilant eye as a parent in the district on third-party programs like the Everyone Matters, where it was 145,000 and they have, political slogans on their website. I pointed that out last week. Also, the diversity director, I want to know why she's paying speaker fees to her buddies over at ASU and that are sparsely attended speaking events. I mean, I feel like this wasteful spending is not being a good steward of our money, of our taxpayer money. And I'm going to do a FOIA with some other parents to see where money's going, because that really bothers me, especially when we hear Kurt talking about how much tutoring would help. My kid probably wouldn't be homeschooled if you had some good programs in place to help her get caught up without all the anxiety. So spend our money in the right places, spend it on our children, not on these third-party vendors, which are paying off their buddies to speak at ASU and nobody's even going to watch them speak. I also have a problem right now with the questionnaires to our kids. We need to trust you. We need to trust you with our heart because you have our babies. And you're doing questionnaires at ACP on suicide. First of all, you question a young child on suicide. You could create a suicidal
30
event.
seconds.
So stop doing that without parental consent and keep an eye on these questionnaires. We don't trust you when you don't give parental consent and we have a clear understanding of why you're questioning our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Brandy Reese, please. Brandy?
Good evening. So I've noticed a trend within the last recent times. A fascination and topic of discussion has centered around not placing value judgments and assessments on things like skin color and racial identity. I would like the school board to apply that same lens to the topic of sex education. If you review the CUSD policy on drug, alcohol, and tobacco use, the objectives are to create an awareness, to inform the student of the effect on the body of narcotics, sedatives, and hallucinogens, to relate the use of drugs and alcohol, to encourage the individual to adopt an appropriate attitude, to understand the need for seeking professional advice, and to understand personal, social, economic problems caused by the misuse of drugs and alcohol. However, if you look to policy that deals with sex education, it's not even called sex education. It's called family life. And that really places a value judgment on sex. It implies that the only appropriate sex is family, within the family structure. And that is a value assessment, in my opinion. I believe that we should be teaching our kids about their bodies, about the sex and reproductive organs and how they work, much the same way we do with any other body system, such as the digestive
30
system
seconds.
or the respiratory system, and not place a value assessment on what they choose to do with that information. That information and that type of value assessment is best left to the parents or the church or wherever. And we should be teaching them not about heterosexual sex is the only appropriate and safe, but also other forms of sex that are out there.
Time has expired. Thank you. Courtney Erickson.
Hello? Okay. Good evening. I am here tonight to be the voice for all of the elementary children being robbed of yet another year's activities. We spent last year wiping away tears, explaining things to them that their little minds couldn't possibly comprehend, and hoping that things would be different this year. The past week, I had to explain to my first grader why we couldn't do art masterpiece because of quarantine protocols. I heard this wonderful young man speak about all the activities that they're doing at the high school, yet art masterpiece is being postponed. Where is the logic? Look at these pictures of the Hamilton game. Wow, a nationally televised game, packed with students, parents, teachers, faculty. But one mom going in to teach art is going to be the demise of the entire school. This is ridiculous. And since I get 2 minutes to speak, we'll go into my daughter being quarantined. That was great. And just so everybody knows, the poor little girl that had to sit in the office, I text my daughter after I was called to say, come pick up your daughter, she's being quarantined. Oh, okay, so I text my daughter, I'm so sorry this is happening again. She texts me back, what are you talking about? She was still in class, still walking around. So when I went in to pick her up, I spoke to the principal, and she says, we have nowhere to keep them, is what she told me. So if it's so pertinent to pick up our kids that are being quarantined,
30
they're
seconds.
just letting them go around school like it's nothing, yet they need to get the F out, basically. We need to get our priorities straight. Be fair to the little kids and stop quarantining our healthy children.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beth Wamsley?
is going to sound very familiar after that. It's time to stop quarantining our healthy children. Despite your explanation that this is a county requirement, Mesa, Higley, Queen Creek, Dysart, and Fountain Hills, among others, continue to allow voluntary quarantine for students who are not COVID positive. You are making a choice to subject Chandler students to these measures. In the history of global tyranny, the excuse of, "I was just following orders," has never borne out well. I speak to parents in other districts, and they are incredulous at the ineptitude of our school board. What I explain to them is that we have one, maybe two, of you who are politically motivated and have no regard for the best interests of our students, and the rest of you are just spineless. Well, there are a dozen of us here who represent hundreds within the district who are willing to be your backbone. Stand up for our students, and we will support you. If the county threatens to shut our schools down, there is an army of parents who will rise up. I don't know how they would justify closing our schools when so many other districts have moved forward with their own procedures. I'd like you to call their bluff. It frankly makes me doubt the veracity of any of your claims altogether. And since we have extra time, also allow the volunteers back in the schools. Our teachers are shouldering so many pressures right now, particularly as they have to make allowances for all the healthy students that you are barring from campus. Parent volunteers have always been an important infrastructure within the schools. We run reading groups, implement Art Masterpiece, do grunt work for teachers, and provide so many needed services that benefit both teachers and students. When evaluating policies, there should only be one question on your mind. Will this benefit the students in our district?
30 seconds.
Right now, if something will benefit the students, you remove it. And if it will harm the students, you implement it. It's asinine.
Ruth Jones.
I sent a video to the district that I hope you've had an opportunity to watch. Last week, my daughter watched a video in class. The video was pornographic. I spoke with Jessica Edgar. She assured me the video was not approved and will not be shown again. But this is about more than that. We've been so caught up in masking, vaccinations, and CRT that we stopped educating our children. We indoctrinate them, we sexualize them, but we no longer teach them. The video shown was from the Canterbury Tales, which is a poor choice for high school students. It should be introduced in a collegiate setting. We need to get back to the basics. We need to do what high school was meant to do. Teach them how to learn, get them excited to be able to learn. Make science an experiment and English a love for the classics. High school is about helping our children find their passion, not telling them what to believe. Start teaching our children to think. The fact that a teacher didn't think showing a cartoon that depicted a rape was a problem tells me you have a problem. I urge you to get back on track. Put our children first. Serve them instead of a political agenda, which seems to be the focus, not our children. I urge you to make our curriculum transparent. I would like to see cameras in every classroom. How many parents didn't get told that their student watched that video? I'd like it to be available so all parents know. I was lucky that my daughter came home horrified to tell me what she had seen. For the record, the video shows a virgin being raped, and my daughter is a virgin and was devastated. I urge you to make changes that put our children first. Start thinking about what they need and not what sounds good politically.
Time has expired. Thank you. Jennifer Alby.
I'm actually going to go off script tonight, which is unfortunate. I had 3 points that I wanted to bring up tonight. The first was actually a compliment to our CUSD board and our administrators who manage in a very tough time. And in spite of the fact that I don't always agree with every decision made, I have to acknowledge that it's difficult and that you give a lot of your own time and of your family's time. My second point tonight was to offer my perspective as the parent who has been able to watch over the last 18 months the difference between how CUSD has approached COVID mitigation measures with my current junior age child, versus how my children's charter school, for my two youngest, has approached COVID mitigation measures. And I will simply send this in an email form to the board and to administration instead of detailing it. But please let me assure you that it has been very notable what has been superior and what has worked and what has not. And there is a reason that my two youngest children are at charter school, and we have no plans to bring them back to CUSD, which breaks my heart. Thirdly, I am going to make a formal information request regarding CUSD's lobbyists. But all that can wait, because on the heels of what Ruth just shared, I would like to also share for the
30
record
seconds.
that my son, 3 years ago, in his sophomore year English class at Perry High School, was also shown a video in his English class that I considered to be pornographic. It was a stylized, danced portrayal of a rape and abuse used to illustrate feminist theory. And when I took it up with the principal, 3 days later, the feedback I got back was simply, well, this teacher didn't understand CUSD tech policy. So I have
Time
updated
has
her.
expired. Thank you. Stephanie Murphy. Stephanie Murphy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm disgusted. Every time I come here, I hope that we're going to be getting some good news. And this evening is truly disturbing and breaks my heart for these children that are here in the CUSD schools. I'm here this evening to talk about the protocols that you guys are, enacting. I've sent emails to you along with other families have. We've, phone called, and the only person who's called or, contacted us back is Mr. Narducci. So thank you for that. Of course, the reply is a complacent, well, we're following Maricopa County Health Department, guidelines. You know what? Well, that's garbage. It might be the way that you're doing it, but the guidelines are there as a framework, and you guys take everything pedal to the metal, 90 degrees, 100% left, and it's ridiculous. Like other parents here have stated, Mesa Public Schools, the largest school district here in Arizona, is also following the Maricopa County health guidelines, and they're not doing it the way that you're doing it. So is Higley, so is Queen Creek, and we're actually starting to see educational gains in our children, and our children are happy. It's hard to have to send our kids to, your schools, especially for me, it was a choice of a school, and then I have to sit around and tolerate this. Thank goodness my daughter is a senior, and she's doing okay, and I'm happy that she'll be off and away.
30 seconds.
We've reached out also to the governor, and the governor, his office wrote us back and said that the practice of instituting mandatory quarantine for vaccinated versus unvaccinated for COVID-19 exposure is illegal and contrary to House Bill 2898. So we're going to get the governor to start to do something about CUSD. We write most of the board on a regular basis. Two people in particular we don't, because we're tired of being bullied and harassed and made fun of.
Time has expired. Thank you. I appreciate everyone coming out and speaking to us and bringing some things to our attention. And with that, we will move on to our consent agenda. Mr. Narducci.
Madam President, members of the board, consent agenda, out-of-state student travel pre-planning. Out-of-state field trip pre-planning forms for Basha High School are provided. Following the governing board pre-approval of out-of-state field trip, we will go ahead and monitor that, and trip arrangements will be made after final approval. Final trip approval will be determined on a case-by-case basis and will be contingent upon current health guidelines based on where they're going. Monetary gifts, request approval for the monetary gifts generously donated to Chandler Unified School District totaling $59,019.12. And then also under donations, request approval of the items generously donated to Chandler Schools totaling $28,826.99. Under new state contract, at the June 9th board meeting, the extended contract list was presented to approval for the governing board. The following state contract was not on the list, requesting approval to utilize the following state contract for the 21-22 school year. That is with MCOR Services of Arizona, who do our HVAC maintenance, repair, and emergency services. The estimated expenditure is not to exceed $350,000. Once approved, the state contract would be added to the extended contract list for future years to be approved, and this contract would be used on an as-needed basis and as compliant with the school district procurement guidelines. Under a memorandum of understanding between Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Arizona and Chandler Unified School District, we're recommending approval of the memorandum of understanding between Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Arizona and the Chandler Unified School District for the 21-22 school year to provide mentoring opportunities for our students at San Marcos Elementary School. The site-based mentoring program is coordinated with the Big Brothers Big Sisters program to engage in outreach through local Chandler businesses to provide selected mentoring for our San Marcos students during their lunchtime and as scheduled. This program provides opportunity to build trusting relationships with trained mentors and for students who have experienced challenges within the community, at school, or at home. Chandler Unified School District also and Homebound MOU request approval of the memorandum of understanding between Child Crisis Arizona, formerly Homebound, and the Chandler Unified School District. Child Crisis Arizona is the financial agent of the Destination Chandler Diploma Program. This is a program that supports students who find themselves in vulnerable situations due to variability in their living circumstances and helps them to stay in school and graduate. Under consent agenda item IFB number 45-22-22, our fresh fruit and vegetables grant. The Food and Nutrition Department received a grant from the Arizona Department of Education in the amount of $142,120.33 for fresh fruit and vegetables for the 21-22 school year at the following sites: Fry Elementary, San Marcos Elementary, Galveston, and Hartford Elementaries. IFB 44-22-22 was released on September 2nd, 2021. On an Arizona purchasing, 12 vendors were notified and only one responded. The evaluation committee determined the response was fair and reasonable, and they were satisfied with the services and products that were submitted by Peddler's Son. Requesting board approval for Peddler's Son to provide fresh fruits and vegetables with grant monies received from ADE. These grants have to be used for what they're established for, so we can't move those to other accounts or other programs. Resolution for grade level reconfiguration. We went over one of these prior, but Chandler Unified School District needs to update the grade configuration update of the old Arizona College Prep Oakland campus from grades 6 through 8 to grades 9 through 12, since the campus is currently being utilized for additional high school space. The Arizona School Facilities Board and Arizona Department of Education require a governing board resolution to update the grade level configuration of a school. Under purchasing policy revisions, Arizona School Boards Association recommended changes to policy DJ purchasing, House Bill 2210, amended section 15-342, Arizona revised statutes relating to the school district governing boards by adding that the governing board may provide food and beverages at school district events, including official school functions and trainings, as allowed by the Arizona Constitution and policies of the Department of Education. These changes were presented as information on the September 8th, 2021 meeting. Request approval. And then our last item is human resources, employment separation compensation, Super Q additional compensation, and job descriptions are there for your approval as well.
Thank you, Mr. Narducci. Could I please get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, as presented.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think that was an aye. Motion carries. Next, we have some information items. Mrs. Berry.
Madam President, members of the board, the student activity reports for the months ending July of 2021 through August of 21 is provided for review. And you'll note that it's just the student activity report for this month. When we present the annual financial report, we will cap student activity auxiliary and tax credit for last year when we come back to you next month. So there's a difference on the report.
Thank you, Mrs. Berry.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions or comments on the student activities report?
No.
All right. Next, we have private day tuition expenditures for fourth quarter for the 2021 school year. Mr. Rother.
Actually, that's me, President Mazin. Members of Madam President, members of the board, the list of private day school tuition expenditures for the fourth quarter of the 2020-21 school year is provided for your review.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the private day expenditures?
I just
Yes.
Was wondering if at some point we could, I think we talked about this before, look at if there were any changes with the opening of the new school from a couple years ago for students with special needs, as one of the goals was to try to bring back some kids that we could, and just wondering what the progress is on that. Thank you.
We can definitely bring that to you. I know that we have had more students that have been returning, which is one of the reasons why you'll see that there's money that is carried over, because we do have more students that are either staying or we're bringing students back. So we can get some specific numbers for you.
Thank you. And this is actually from last year, not our current year at this
Yes.
point. Are we looking at roughly the same type numbers for this year? I know this is last year's report, but are we looking at roughly?
Well, I think it's going to be dependent on the number of students that we have returning to us. One of the reasons we had money that was not expended is because we had students that did not return to in-person, although the district as well as the private day that they were attending was working to get them back, and they chose not to come back. So I think it's really going to depend on some of those students that we can bring back in-house, as well as some students that may come back into in-person and be at the day school that they would have gone to.
Okay.
So we'll have more information to you as we get through at least this first quarter.
Great. Thank you. Next, we have a policy revision. Dr. Gilbert.
Madam President, members of the board, Arizona School Boards Association has recommended changes to the following policy and exhibit and regulation. JLCB, which is immunization of students, JLCB, which is E, and JLCBR. House Bill 2898 enacted a new statute, ARS 15342.05, which prohibits school districts and charter schools from requiring face coverings for students and staff during the school hours and on school property, and provides that a school district or charter school may not require a student or teacher to receive a vaccine for COVID-19 or to wear face coverings to participate in in-person instruction. Appropriate changes have been made to policy JLCB, and exhibit JLCBE has been updated to include the 2021-2022 requirements. Chandler has also had regulation JLCBR, but it has not had it, and we added it at this time to this policy. Chandler School District recommends adopting the policy, exhibit, and regulation as proposed by ASBA. These changes are presented as information, and approval will be requested at the October 13th, 2021 board meeting. Regulations and exhibits do not require board approval.
Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. Do we have any comments or questions on this proposed policy change? Okay, we will now move on to the roadmap, agenda roadmap, and our next meeting will be October 13th. On Friday is last day of school before a 2-week intercession or break. And it looks like on October 13th, we'll be looking at our annual detailed presentation of our annual financial report and also a demographer's report for the district. Mr. Narducci.
Sure. Madam President, members of the board, I'd like to share an inspirational story with you real quickly here. You may know, or you may have seen Samantha Deravan of Castile High School featured on one of our local newscasts lately. She has been selected to be featured in a display at Times Square in New York City, promoting inclusion for students with disabilities. We're extremely proud of Samantha. Samantha is a leader at our high school, very involved in our unified sports program. I think you heard our Perry student speak about the unified sports programs, and this is at Castile, where she is a cheerleader as well, and represents Chandler Unified School District very well. We're very proud of her. I was able to send a thank you to her, a notification to her this past week, as we're really proud of the fact that she's bringing Chandler all the way across the nation as well, and is just seen as an inspirational leader on her campus. Tarwater Elementary has been chosen to have radio contact with the International Space Station. Students will have about 11 minutes to ask questions of an astronaut. I guess there'll be lots of questions from our Tarwaters, but some will be in Mandarin, I'm sure, and some will be in English at our dual language immersion classroom. Tarwater proved to be a good fit for the space station due to the school recognizing cultures and languages, and that's what they were looking for. We are looking forward to the event and encouraging these types of rich educational experiences for our children in COSD. We received a very nice email today from the chair of Global Health Leaders Conference at Johns Hopkins University, and congratulating one of our students, Sohani Zandu, for her virtual presentation this summer. Sohani was one of the only students from Arizona admitted into Johns Hopkins Selective Conference this year. She discusses how smallpox was eradicated and lessons that can be learned to aid in overcoming the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't know about what you guys were doing in high school, but I wasn't definitely presenting to the Johns Hopkins group. This is amazing. Her presentation is available on YouTube, and she represented herself, ACP High School, and Chandler Unified, so admirable. The future is bright for the senior, and that story is replicated in many of our high schools. And so I don't want us to lose track of the fact that we have many students that go on to do amazing things, and our schools do amazing things for all kids, not just some. Last thing I'd just like to share, this will be our last meeting with Mr. Larry Rother over there. So this is the last meeting you'll have to attend here, Mr. Rother. He'll be a part of the Intel educational team. We wish him the best and look forward to working with him in his new role as as our education director, Colleen Flannery. Our executive director over technology, Colleen Flannery, will work in conjunction with Intel and Dell, and a part of what Larry will be doing as well. Their team, as we join forces with Intel and Dell to create sustainable solutions to support sustainability of technology down the road. So this proof of concept, I think I've talked about it prior, is looking at ways that we can sustainably move our students into future readiness by utilizing devices for blended learning and preparing them for a workforce that is going to mandate skills that necessarily don't happen in a 20th century designed classroom. And so many school districts are going to find problems, just like we see, with how do we update computers and how do we keep up with the latest technology, how do we provide IT services and continue to do that, as well as move a staff and a workforce forward in providing these skills that help our students to be prepared when they enter the workforce or college after that. And so we look forward to this, the next steps here, and I'm sure Ms. Flannery will give us updates as we go along on the project at Chandler High School. She and her team have been working tirelessly to be prepared for this proof of concept, and we're excited about that as well. Also, Ms. Flannery is also working with her team on the future ready concepts and frameworks that we'll be presenting here after the first of the year in a little bit more as an update with our where we are with updating our Journey 2030 benchmarks and metrics. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. And Larry, good luck to you as well. Appreciate it. Fall break begins this Monday. I know our families and staff are looking to catch their breath a little bit. The first quarter had its challenges, but it was a very strong start of the school year otherwise. Our teachers return to school on October 11th, and students return on October 12th. Our district office and school sites will be open if the public needs to reach us. High schools will be busy. They don't close down with competitions. We invite our community to check out schedules on our website, attend a game, and show your support for our students and programs in Chandler Unified School District, because together we do some really great stuff, and we appreciate our community when they do come out and get to support our students in other ways. So you're more than welcome to come out, and you can get it on any school website of the activities that are happening over break. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Narducci. Do any of our board members have any comments for this evening? I think I'll ask Joel first. Hey, Joel, do you have any comments for this evening?
A couple quick ones. First of all, I just want to remind everybody how important the override is. The override, it's not a tax increase. We're just trying to continue the override. And the most important part of it, the majority of our budget goes towards the classroom and the teachers. This override is very, very important to attract and retain our certified teachers. One of the strengths, I think, of public schools are we were required to have certified teachers, and I think that's incredibly important. The other thing is one of our past board members, Bob Rice, was hurt very badly in a bicycle accident, and he and his wife Margie were just hoping for prayers for him that he will do well and get out of the hospital as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Mr. Olive.
I've got a couple of things on the, and I didn't get to go to the meeting on the 30th where we were going to discuss the ESSER stuff that was on top of the East Valley Board's meetings. So are there going to be follow-up meetings about that?
Correct. Yes, we have all the stakeholder feedback, and our plan is due here pretty shortly. We're finishing that up, and then that's when the ESSER funds and programming will be distributed. We're looking at that during second quarter. I think we heard a little bit tonight of tutoring, and those are all included in ESSER. ESSER funding to us is $3 million. And we had really good stakeholder feedback. We were waiting on our staff feedback, which came in last week. And so our plan will go in, we'll get the approval because the monies are released based on the plan approval. And so it's a pretty arduous process, and our team, our business office team and our instructional team have been working together to get that application in. And then once the funds are released, then we can move forward.
Okay. Could you guys share some of that with us when you have it organized? Okay. So thank you. I have a second item, and me and my wife did art masterpiece, and one of the folks or a couple of the folks that spoke tonight, they mentioned that. I mean, volunteers, and that's what got me into this mess, is volunteering at school and being involved in my kids' education. And so I was going to ask, when are we thinking about letting volunteers go back into classrooms?
We are, and that probably goes hand in hand with the quarantine concepts that are being discussed here tonight or in groups. I have passed emails that I've received from parents which specifically have stated specific districts that may not be following or may have a different protocol. I sent those directly to Maricopa County, and this is going to answer your question, Maricopa County Health. With that, I got a response back from them that they are working with those districts. If they are not representing what they're required to do, as they are the agency that has the legal authority to under quarantine, now this is under quarantine only, that they will be with them and they are meeting with them because they are on the top of the list. What they're saying in the latest direct communication I got from Dr. Sonnenschein was that we have to comply, they have to comply. Some have put modifications to it, and that's when we were called and met with Maricopa County Health. Why we're delaying the art masterpiece is I don't want other situations that would cause kids to have to be quarantined. We're not in favor of total quarantines of healthy students. We don't want to do that. But if I bring additional students into classrooms for prolonged periods, we're going to have to follow that quarantine process. So right now, it's just a safe bet to just delay it. And if we see the numbers going down or we see the changes come from Maricopa County Health which they told us they will let us know. And they did say they will be reaching out for compliance to the districts that are not complying. Now, again, I had some wonderful parents who gave me detailed emails, and they had the schools and their policies all in an email, and I sent that directly to be reviewed. So I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. What I'm saying is we're doing what we were told we have to comply with. Now, as far as Art Masterpiece, we value it. We value volunteers being in classrooms. I don't want people painting the picture, and part in that analogy, that our volunteers aren't welcome. They are. It's just we do not want to put in elementary classrooms one more opportunity for a student to have to contact trace a person from outside that cohort. And that's one of the things that is a detriment when you have the contact tracing that has to be done. So we will go ahead and do that as our numbers are coming down from county. We see those, and I know I give the board reports on Maricopa County reports, but we are seeing the numbers come down on our community spread, and we're hoping that we see that even more going into recession break. And we will keep our community updated, and if they make changes, they'll let us know. And I am constantly on the phone with them when I have parents that say, we're doing something different than everybody else. We're doing what we're not recommended but required to do based on their authority. And authority is with the local agencies, which would be your counties. And I'm willing to, any information we have, if our governor makes an executive order, we'll act on right away. But there's nothing in law right now about quarantine except with the counties. And that would be Pinal, Pima, and Maricopa, who are working together on that. And Art Masterpiece is alive and well. It will come back, and we do value our parents that do the program. It's just that's the only reason right now is we do not want to create an opportunity where we would have to disqualify students from being there if in the event a volunteer was positive.
Anything else, Mr. Olive?
That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Bruner, anything? Ms. Love? Okay. Thank you all for coming this evening and listening to our board meeting, and we will see you on October 13th. This meeting is adjourned.